Have you ever felt like the harder you try to do things right with money, the worse it actually gets? Like, seriously, you're out here paying your bills on time, skipping the fancy dinners, saying no to that weekend trip to Joshua Tree with your friends, grinding through every single month like you're supposed to, and somehow, you're still drowning, still behind, still stressed out of your mind every time you check your bank account. Yeah, I know that feeling. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Doing everything right might be exactly what's keeping you broke. I'm not talking about some guru nonsense or get-rich-quick scheme. I'm talking about the actual system, the one we've all been taught to trust since, like, forever. You know the drill. Work hard, pay your debts, build credit, save a little if you can. That's the playbook, right? That's what responsible adults do. Except, what if I told you that following that exact playbook is why so many people in this country are stuck in a cycle they can't break out of? Think about it. You're making your minimum payments every month, on time like a total boss. You're avoiding the bad financial decisions. You're not buying anything crazy. Maybe you even canceled that streaming subscription you barely used. You're doing all the things. But your credit card balance? Still sitting there. Your student loans? Barely moving. That emergency fund everyone keeps talking about? Still at like $200 if you're lucky. And the wildest part? You look around and see people who seem way more reckless than you, buying new cars, going on vacation, living it up, and somehow they're not drowning. How does that even make sense? You already passed by this, haven't you? That moment where you're just sitting there, staring at your phone, looking at your balance and thinking, what am I doing wrong? The answer might actually shock you. Because here's what they don't tell you when you're growing up, when you're in school, when you're getting your first credit card with that shiny low APR. The system wasn't designed for you to win. It was designed for you to stay exactly where you are. FICA Kamigo 8.0 final, because what you're about to discover isn't just some theory, it's the actual mechanism that's been working against you this whole time. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. See, most people think debt is a math problem. Like, if you just budget better, work a little harder, maybe pick up a side hustle, you'll eventually get ahead. But that's not how it works. Not really. Because the game is rigged in a way that's so subtle, so normalized that we don't even question it anymore. We just accept it as adulting. We accept the stress. We accept the guilt. We accept feeling like failures when we're literally doing everything we were told to do. So here's the uncomfortable truth I need you to sit with for a second. Paying on time, avoiding unnecessary expenses, following all the conventional wisdom about personal finance, that might actually be the trap. That might be exactly what keeps the cycle spinning. And the reason why is something most financial advisors will never tell you because honestly, it doesn't benefit them if you figure it out. What you're going to learn in the next few minutes will completely shift how you see your money, your debt, and honestly, your entire financial future. But first, you gotta be willing to let go of what you think you know. Because here's the deal. Most people never understand this until it's way too late. Like years too late. Tens of thousands of dollars too late. And by the time they finally see what's been happening behind the scenes, the damage is already done. The interest has compounded. The opportunities have passed. The system has already won. But you're here right now. You're paying attention. And that already puts you ahead of like 90% of people out there who are just sleepwalking through their financial lives, doing what they're told, never questioning why it's not working. So if you want to keep seeing what's actually happening behind the numbers, the stuff they don't teach you in school, the stuff your bank definitely doesn't want you to know, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this isn't just another finance channel throwing budgeting tips at you. This is about understanding the actual game being played with your money. And honestly, the more people who see this, the harder it becomes for the system to keep us all in the dark. Drop a like too if this is already hitting different. It helps get this message in front of more people who need to hear it. Because real talk, we're all in this together, and the only way we start winning is by actually understanding what we're up against. Now, let me show you exactly how this trap works. Now, let me paint you a picture that might feel a little too familiar. You get your paycheck, right? And for a split second you feel okay. Like, alright, I got this. You log into your bank app, you see that direct deposit hit, and there's this tiny moment of relief. But then reality kicks in. You start doing the mental math before you even finish your coffee. Rent, car payment, insurance, that credit card bill that's been sitting there for months, student loans, groceries, yes. And just like that, that paycheck you were excited about 2 minutes ago, it's already gone, spoken for, committed, and you haven't even bought yourself anything. So you pay everything. You do the responsible thing. You transfer the money, hit submit on all those payments, and you tell yourself, okay, next month will be better. Next month I'll have more left over. But next month comes and it's the same exact story. The balance on that credit card? Yeah, it went down a little. Like maybe $50. But it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like you're running on a treadmill in the dark, sweating and exhausted, but not actually getting anywhere. And here's the thing that really messes with your head. The interest. You know it's there. You see it on the statement every month. But it's so quiet, so subtle that it almost feels invisible. Like you're paying $200 toward your card, but only $30 actually touches the principal. The rest just gets absorbed into this black hole of interest charges. And you start wondering, wait, how long have I been paying this? Why does it still feel like I owe the same amount I did a year ago? Every month you think you're getting closer. You tell yourself you're making progress. But deep down something feels off. Something doesn't add up. And the worst part? You start blaming yourself. You start thinking, maybe I'm not disciplined enough. Maybe I need to work harder. Maybe I'm just bad with money. But that's not it. That's never been it. Because you're not failing. The system is literally designed to keep you exactly where you are. Think about the last time you actually felt financially secure. Not rich. Not even comfortable. Just secure. Like you could handle an unexpected expense without your stomach dropping. For most people, that feeling is so rare it's almost a distant memory. And that's not because you're irresponsible. It's because the way debt works in this country is built to extract as much from you as possible while making you feel like you're the problem. See, when you make that minimum payment every month, you're doing exactly what they want. You're staying in the game. You're keeping the balance alive. Because here's what they don't tell you. Creditors don't actually want you to pay off your debt quickly. That's not profitable for them. What they want is for you to carry that balance as long as possible, making steady payments that mostly go to interest so they can keep milking that account for years. Decades even. And it's so normalized that we don't even question it anymore. We just accept it as part of being an adult. Oh, everyone has debt. Everyone's struggling. That's just how it is. But it's not how it has to be. It's how they want it to be. There's a massive difference. You ever notice how the financial advice you get is always the same tired script? Make a budget. Cut your spending. Stop buying lattes. Like, seriously? You think the reason people are in debt is because of a $4 coffee? That's not advice. That's a distraction. It keeps you focused on tiny, irrelevant details while completely ignoring the actual structure that's keeping you trapped. Because the truth is, you can cut every single unnecessary expense, you can meal prep every day, you can drive a 20-year-old car, you can do everything right, and you'll still be stuck. What? Because the real problem isn't your spending habits. The real problem is that the cost of living has skyrocketed while wages have barely moved. The real problem is that interest rates are designed to benefit lenders, not borrowers. The real problem is that the entire financial system profits off your struggle. And once you see that, once you really understand it, everything starts to make sense. All those months of feeling like you're failing? That wasn't you. That was the design. All those times you thought, why can't I get ahead? It's because you were never meant to. Not easily anyway. The transformation happens when you stop blaming yourself and start seeing the game for what it is. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. You know how they always tell you to build credit, right? Like that's the ultimate goal. Get your credit score up, prove you're responsible, and then you'll have access to better rates, better opportunities, all that. But think about what building credit actually means. It means taking on debt. It means borrowing money and paying it back with interest. It means staying in the system. Because you can't build credit by just having money, you have to owe money. You have to play the game. And the better you play, the more they trust you to take on even more debt. It's brilliant, honestly. In a super dark, manipulative way. They've convinced an entire generation that debt isn't just normal, it's necessary. That you need it to prove you're financially stable. And so people who are already struggling take on more, thinking it's the path forward, when really it's just digging the hole deeper. And nobody talks about this. Not your parents, not your teachers, not your bank. Because the system doesn't benefit from you understanding it. The system benefits from you staying confused, staying compliant, staying just hopeful enough to keep making those payments every month. But here's what they don't count on. People like you who are willing to question it. People who are tired of the excuses, tired of the stress, tired of feeling like they're doing everything right and still losing. That's the shift. That's the moment where everything changes. When you stop accepting the narrative and start demanding the truth. Now I want to go even deeper into this because understanding the problem is only half the battle. The other half is knowing exactly what decisions you can make right now to start breaking free from this cycle. And that's where most people get stuck. They see the trap, but they don't know how to escape it. So let me show you what actually works, not the stuff they want you to believe works. Comment below, I'm on this journey too, if you've ever experienced this firsthand. So let me be super clear about something right now, because this is where most people get it twisted. This isn't your fault. Like at all. You're not bad with money. You're not undisciplined. You're not making some catastrophic mistake that everyone else figured out except you. That voice in your head telling you that you're the problem? That's exactly what they want you to think. Because as long as you're blaming yourself, you're not looking at the actual structure that's keeping you stuck. The system isn't broken. Let me say that again, the system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was designed to work. It's carefully structured, intentionally optimized, and meticulously built to reward one side of the equation. And spoiler alert, it's not your side. Every single element, from the way interest compounds to the way minimum payments are calculated, from the way credit scores are structured to the way financial products are marketed, it's all designed with one goal in mind. And that goal is not to help you get out of debt. It's to keep you in it. Think about it like this. When you signed up for that credit card, do you remember what they emphasized? The rewards program. The cashback. The 0% intro APR. They made it sound like this amazing deal, right? Like they were doing you a favor. But what they didn't spend much time on, what they buried in pages of fine print you probably didn't read because nobody does, was what happens after that intro period ends. What happens when that 0% turns into 18, 20, 25%? What happens when you're carrying a balance and suddenly every purchase you make is costing you way more than the price tag says? They know most people won't pay it off in time. They've run the numbers. They've done the research. They know exactly how human psychology works, how we prioritize immediate needs over future consequences, how we underestimate how long it'll take to pay things down. This isn't some accident or oversight. This is the entire business model. They're not hoping you pay off your debt quickly, they're counting on you not to. And it's not just credit cards. Student loans are built the same way. Car loans. Mortgages. The entire lending industry is structured around maximizing the amount of interest you pay over time. That's where the profit is. Not in you succeeding. In you staying obligated. In you making payments month after month, year after year, with the majority of your money going toward interest instead of actually reducing what you owe. Here's the thing that really gets me. They've normalized this so deeply that most people don't even see it as exploitation anymore. It's just how things work. You need a car, so you finance it. You need an education, so you take out loans. You need a place to live, so you get a mortgage. And every single one of those decisions that are basically required to participate in modern society, comes with a price tag that extends decades into your future. They've made debt a prerequisite for living, and then they profit off that dependency for the rest of your life. And the wildest part? They've convinced us that this is actually good for us. That debt is a tool. That credit is opportunity. That borrowing money is how you build wealth. And sure, in some very specific circumstances, with the right knowledge and strategy, that can be true. But for the vast majority of people, debt isn't a tool, it's a trap. It's a weight that gets heavier every month, that limits your options, that keeps you stuck in jobs you hate because you can't afford to take a risk, that prevents you from saving or investing or building any kind of real security. This is the hidden truth they don't want you to see. The revelation that changes everything once you actually understand it. Because once you realize that the struggle isn't personal, that it's structural, it completely shifts your perspective. You stop asking, what am I doing wrong? And start asking, who benefits from this? And that's when the real transformation begins. See, the impact of this system isn't just financial. It's psychological. It's emotional. It affects your mental health, your relationships, your sense of self-worth. When you're constantly stressed about money, when you're always one emergency away from disaster, when you feel like you're failing at something everyone else seems to have figured out, that takes a toll. That changes how you see yourself. And that's part of the design too. Because people who feel powerless don't fight back. People who blame themselves don't challenge the system. They just keep grinding, keep paying, keep hoping that someday somehow it'll get better. But here's what they don't count on. They don't count on people waking up to this. They don't count on moments like this one where someone breaks it down in plain language, where the mask comes off and you finally see what's been happening behind the scenes. That's the moment of power. That's when you stop being a victim of the system and start becoming someone who understands it well enough to navigate it differently. And look, I'm not saying there's some magic solution where you snap your fingers and all your debt disappears. That's not realistic. But what I am saying is that once you understand the game, you can start making different decisions. Decisions that actually serve you instead of serving them. Decisions based on how things really work, not on the fairy tale version they sell you in commercials and financial literacy courses that barely scratch the surface. The mentality shift that has to happen here is huge. You have to stop seeing yourself as the problem and start seeing yourself as someone operating inside a rigged system. That doesn't mean you don't take responsibility for your choices. Of course you do. But it means you stop carrying shame for something that was designed to be difficult. It means you stop believing that if you just worked a little harder, sacrificed a little more, you'd magically break free. Because that's not how it works. The harder you work within a broken system, the more energy you waste. What you need isn't more effort. It's better strategy. It's understanding the actual mechanics so you can work around them instead of through them. Now here's where I want to hear from you, because I know this is hitting different for a lot of people watching. If this is making sense, if you're starting to see your own situation through a different lens, drop a comment below and tell me what part of this resonated most with you. Like, was it the thing about minimum payments barely touching the principal? Was it realizing that debt is literally the business model? Or maybe it's just that relief of knowing you're not failing. The system is just designed against you. Whatever it is, I want to know. Because your voice, your experience, your story, that's what makes this community real. That's what helps other people feel less alone in this. And honestly, the more we talk about this stuff openly, the harder it becomes for the system to keep us all in the dark. So yeah, comment below. Let's build this conversation together. Now I want to go even deeper into the actual mechanics of how this works, because understanding that the system is rigged is one thing, but knowing exactly how they're doing it, what specific mechanisms they're using to keep you locked in, that's where the real power is. Alright, so let's talk about what actually happens behind the curtain, because this is where it gets wild. You know how they always say being responsible with credit is the key to financial success? Like, pay on time, keep your balances low, show them you're reliable? Yeah, that advice isn't wrong exactly, but it's incomplete in a way that's actually dangerous. Because here's the twist nobody tells you. The more predictable and disciplined you are, the easier it is for the system to extract value from you. Let me break that down. When you pay your minimum payment on time every single month, you're sending a signal. You're telling the creditor, hey, I'm stable. I'm committed. I'm not going anywhere. And that's exactly what they want. Because a customer who pays late or misses payments, that's risky. They might default. They might disappear. But you're the dream client. You're the one who's going to carry that balance for years, making steady payments, never causing trouble. You're profitable. Extremely profitable. And here's where the mechanics get really sneaky. When you make that minimum payment, let's say it's $200 on a $5,000 balance, the way they structure it is borderline genius from their perspective. They don't apply that $200 evenly. Most of it goes straight to interest. Like, maybe $170 of it just vanishes into interest charges, and only $30 actually reduces your principal. So you're putting in all this effort, all this money, and the needle barely moves. Month after month, you're doing the right thing, but the debt barely shrinks. And that feeling you have, that something's not adding up? You're absolutely correct. It's not adding up. Because it's designed not to. But wait, it gets worse. Because as you keep making those payments, as you prove you're a responsible borrower, they start offering you more credit. You get emails, congratulations. Your credit limit has been increased. And it sounds like a reward, right? Like they're recognizing your good behavior. But what they're actually doing is giving you more rope. They're increasing your capacity to owe them more money, which means more interest, which means more profit for them. And the psychology of it is so subtle. Because when you see that higher limit, part of you feels accomplished. Part of you thinks, okay, cool, I have more breathing room. And maybe you don't use it right away. But then life happens. An emergency. A necessary purchase. A moment of weakness. And suddenly you're using that increased limit, and now you're even deeper in than before. This is the mechanism they don't explain in those financial literacy courses. They tell you to build credit, but they don't tell you that the credit system itself is optimized to keep you borrowing. They tell you to make minimum payments, but they don't show you the math of how little impact those payments actually have when interest is compounding the other direction. They sell you on responsibility, but the entire structure is built to reward their shareholders, not your financial freedom. And here's another layer most people never think about. Let's talk about how interest is calculated. You probably think it's simple, right? Like, you have an 18% APR, so that's the rate. But that's annual. The way it actually works is they divide that by 12 and apply it monthly to your average daily balance. So every single day you carry that debt, interest is accruing. Not just once a month when you get the statement. Every single day. That means even if you make a payment halfway through the month, you've already been charged interest on the full balance for the first half. And if you make a purchase right after your payment, that new charge starts accruing interest immediately, often from the date of purchase, not from when the statement closes. It's all these tiny details, these hidden mechanics that most people don't understand, that add up to massive profits for them and stagnation for you. And the thing is, they count on you not understanding this. They count on the complexity. They count on you being too busy, too stressed, too overwhelmed to actually dig into the fine print and do the math. Because if everyone understood how this actually worked, way fewer people would play along. Now here's where the mentality piece becomes crucial. Most people, when they realize they're stuck, they think the answer is to just work harder. Get a second job. Do some freelance gigs. Hustle more. And look, I'm not against hard work. But here's the brutal truth. You can double your income and still stay trapped if you don't change your strategy. Because the system scales with you. You make more money? Great, you qualify for a bigger mortgage, a nicer car, higher credit limits. You start spending at a higher level because that's what everyone around you is doing at that income bracket. And suddenly you're making twice as much, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck, just with nicer stuff. This is what they call lifestyle inflation, but it's not just about personal choices. It's about how the entire economy is structured to absorb whatever income you have. There's always another tier of consumption, another level of debt products designed for your income bracket. They've got this whole thing mapped out. And the transformation that needs to happen isn't just about making more money, it's about completely rethinking your relationship with debt and credit and consumption. See, the real power move isn't about being more disciplined within the system. It's about understanding the system well enough to operate outside of its assumptions. It's about making decisions that don't fit the predictable patterns they're designed to exploit. But to do that, you need to see the full picture. And here's the thing, we're not even at the full picture yet. What I just showed you is one layer, one mechanism. But there are deeper levels to this, more sophisticated ways they keep people locked in that most people never even think about. Like, have you ever wondered why they make it so easy to only pay the minimum? Why that's always the default option, the one that's highlighted on your statement? Or why they structure payment due dates the way they do, often right before you get paid, making it more likely you'll only pay the minimum instead of more? These aren't accidents. These are deliberate design choices based on behavioral psychology research. They know exactly what they're doing. And it's not just credit cards. This same principle applies across the entire financial system. Student loans that stretch for decades with interest capitalizing in ways most borrowers don't understand. Mortgages with front-loaded interest where you're barely touching the principal for the first 10 years. Auto loans that are structured so by the time you pay off the car, it's worth half what you paid and you're ready to finance another one. It's all connected. It's all part of the same machine. The revelation here is that personal responsibility, while important, is not the solution to a systemic problem. You can be the most responsible person in the world and still struggle within a system that's designed to extract maximum value from you. And until you see that, until you really understand how the extraction works, you're just going to keep spinning your wheels, wondering why it's so hard. But here's the thing that gives me hope, the thing that makes all of this worth talking about. Once you see it, once you really understand the mechanics, you can start making different choices. Not magic choices, not get-rich-quick schemes, but strategic decisions based on how things actually work rather than how you were told they work. And that shift, that transformation from operating in the dark to operating with full awareness, that's where real change happens. Now, I'm going to keep pulling on this thread because there's more you need to see. There are specific strategies people use to work around these mechanisms, ways to actually gain ground instead of just treading water. But before we get there, I need you to really sit with what I just told you. Because the impact of understanding this changes everything about how you approach your finances going forward. Drop a comment if this is starting to click for you. Just write, "I see it now," if you're finally understanding why it's been so hard. So now that you see how this works, now that you understand the mechanics behind why it's been so hard, here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't unsee this. Like seriously. From this point forward, every time you get a credit card statement, every time you see that minimum payment option, every time someone tells you that debt is just a normal part of life, you're going to remember what I just told you. You're going to see the machine working. And that changes everything, even if it doesn't change everything overnight. Because here's the thing about awareness. It's not a light switch where suddenly all your problems disappear. It's more like putting on a pair of glasses you didn't know you needed. Suddenly everything comes into focus. Things that seemed confusing before now make perfect sense. Patterns you couldn't quite put your finger on become obvious. And yeah, sometimes that clarity is uncomfortable. Sometimes it's frustrating to realize how long you've been operating without this information. But that discomfort, that frustration, that's actually the beginning of real transformation. See, most people go through their entire lives never questioning why things are the way they are. They just accept the struggle. They internalize the stress. They blame themselves when things don't work out. And the system loves that. The system thrives on people who don't ask questions, who don't look behind the curtain, who just keep playing by the rules they were given without ever wondering who wrote those rules or why. But you're not most people anymore. You're someone who's starting to see the game. And that's powerful. That's the first step toward making different decisions. Not perfect decisions. Let's be real, nobody makes perfect decisions. But informed decisions. Strategic decisions. Decisions based on understanding how things actually work rather than how you were told they work. Now, I want to be straight with you about something. Understanding the problem doesn't automatically solve it. Like, you can know everything I just told you and still have debt. You can see the system clearly and still be stuck in it, at least for now. Because the system is huge. It's entrenched. It's backed by trillion-dollar industries and decades of policy and cultural conditioning. You're not going to dismantle that overnight. And anyone who tells you there's some quick fix, some one weird trick that'll set you free, they're selling you something. But what understanding does give you is leverage. It gives you the ability to see opportunities you couldn't see before. It helps you avoid traps you would have walked right into. It changes the questions you ask. Instead of, why am I failing? You start asking, what's actually happening here? Instead of, how do I work harder? You start asking, how do I work smarter within or around this system? And that shift in perspective, that transformation in how you approach the whole situation, that's where the real impact is. Because once you're operating from a place of awareness rather than confusion, from strategy rather than desperation, you start making moves that actually serve you. Small moves at first, maybe, but they compound over time. Just like interest compounds against you when you don't understand it, strategic decisions compound in your favor when you do. Here's something I've noticed though. The people who really break free from this cycle, who actually build something different for themselves, they all have one thing in common. They didn't just learn about the system and then go back to business as usual. They let that knowledge change them. They let it inform every financial decision going forward. They became the kind of people who question everything, who read the fine print, who understand that if something seems too good to be true, there's probably a catch buried somewhere in the structure. And look, that might sound exhausting. Like, who wants to be that person who's always skeptical, always analyzing, always thinking 3 steps ahead? But here's the reality, that's what it takes to not get played. That's the price of financial awareness in a system designed to keep you unaware. You can either put in the effort to understand and navigate strategically, or you can trust that the system has your best interests at heart. And I think we both know by now that it doesn't. The revelation we've been walking through together isn't just about debt or credit cards or interest rates. It's about power. It's about who has it and how they use it. The financial system has power over you when you don't understand how it works. But the moment you start understanding, the moment you start seeing the mechanics clearly, that power dynamic begins to shift. Not completely. Not instantly. But it shifts. And that's what they don't want. They don't want financially literate people who understand how to navigate the system strategically. They want people who feel overwhelmed by complexity, who trust that the experts have their best interests at heart, who make predictable choices that can be exploited. That's the business model. And every time someone like you breaks out of that pattern, every time someone starts making different decisions based on actual understanding, it disrupts their model just a little bit. Now here's where this gets even more interesting and honestly kind of wild. What I've shown you so far is how the system works when you're playing by the standard rules. When you're making minimum payments, building credit the traditional way, following the conventional path. But there's a whole other level to this that most people never even know exists. There are strategies, approaches, ways of thinking about and interacting with debt and credit that completely flip the script. Things that the system doesn't want you to know because if everyone knew them, the whole model would start falling apart. I'm talking about understanding debt in a way that lets you use it strategically instead of being used by it. I'm talking about knowing exactly when to pay things off versus when to redirect that money elsewhere. I'm talking about seeing opportunities in the structure itself, gaps and loopholes and strategic positions that exist if you know where to look. And this isn't about doing anything illegal or shady. It's just about understanding the game at a level that most people don't. But here's the thing. You have to have the foundation first. You have to understand how you've been getting played before you can understand how to play differently. You have to see the trap before you can avoid it or use it to your advantage. That's why everything I've been showing you matters so much. It's not just information for information's sake. It's the groundwork for an entirely different approach to your financial life. And I know some of you watching this are probably feeling a mix of emotions right now. Maybe some anger at the system. Maybe some regret about past decisions. Maybe some hope that things can actually be different. All of that is valid. All of that makes sense. Because what we're talking about here isn't just financial, it's personal. It affects your quality of life, your stress levels, your relationships, your future. This stuff matters on a deep level. The uncomfortable truth is that most people will watch this, nod along, maybe feel fired up for a day or two, and then go right back to the same patterns. Because changing behavior is hard. Changing deeply ingrained habits and beliefs is really hard. And the system is designed to make the default path, the easy path, the one that keeps you stuck. So staying aware, staying strategic, making different choices, that takes sustained effort. But you're still here. You're still paying attention. You're still engaged with this information even though it's uncomfortable, even though it challenges things you thought you knew. That tells me something about you. That tells me you're not just looking for easy answers or quick fixes. You're actually trying to understand. And that's the mentality that makes all the difference. Now I want to go even deeper into what this means for your specific situation, because understanding the general principles is one thing, but applying them to your actual life, your actual debt, your actual circumstances, that's where it gets real. And there are specific things you need to know about how to approach this strategically based on where you are right now. Right? Mind blown? In the comments if you're starting to see your whole financial situation differently. Look, if you made it all the way here, first of all, respect. Because this wasn't a light topic. This wasn't some feel-good, quick-tip kind of video. This was real. This was about understanding something that affects your life in a major way and you stuck with it. That says a lot about where you're at mentally. You're not just consuming content, you're actually trying to figure this stuff out. And that's exactly the kind of person I make these videos for. So if this hit home, if you're starting to see things differently, go ahead and hit that like button. Not because I need the validation, but because it actually helps get this message in front of more people who need to hear it. People who are stuck in the same cycle, feeling like they're failing when really they just don't have the full picture yet. Your engagement literally changes who sees this next. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Because what we talked about today, this is just scratching the surface. There's so much more to unpack about how to actually navigate this system once you understand it. The strategies, the mindset shifts, the specific moves you can make depending on where you're at. I break all of that down in other videos on this channel, and I'm constantly dropping new content that builds on these ideas. So hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep this going. Drop a comment too, just write, "I made it to the end, so I know you were really here for this whole journey." I read the comments. I see you. And honestly, building this community of people who actually get it, who are tired of the BS and ready to see things clearly, that's what makes this worth doing. And look, there's a video right here that takes what we talked about today and goes even deeper into what you can actually do about it. Specific actions, real strategies, the next level of understanding. So click on that, keep this momentum going, and let's figure this out together. I'll see you there.